Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the Tier 6 American Premium Medium tank, the T22 Proto, which is kind of newish. If you do like the video as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the T22 Prototype, I say new-ish because it's new to Tier 6. That's because the T22 Prototype was a Tier 1 Tech Tree medium tank, and it did not fit Tier 1 whatsoever. It was added way back, before 6.0 especially, but way back as a new player starter tank for Tier 1. So when you entered the game and they wanted to teach you things about how you could go about playing Tier 1 and getting started in the game, it put you in the T22 Prototype to start off to play games. And it just doesn't fit. It just didn't fit Tier 1. It was absolutely OP, and it was just absolutely insane. But then, the advent of 6.0, and they removed Tier 1 and Tier 2, and so you could no longer buy this vehicle. But if you already owned it, and it was in your garage, you could still play it. Come the past patch, and they are returning Tier 1 and 2, but because this thing was so mental, and it doesn't really have a place, it's not a starter tank anymore, they decided to move it to become a Tier 6 premium tank. So if you already owned it, like I did, from before 6.0, and you owned the Tier 1 T22 Prototype still in your garage, you got the Tier 6 premium for free. Just like back in the day when the FV4202 got removed from the tech tree, and they added the Centurion Action 10, if you owned the 4202, you got the FV4202P, which was the premium Tier 8 medium tank, for free. And that's basically what's happened with this. Can you acquire this tank at the minute if you didn't own the T22 Prototype? No. Does that mean that they're not going to sell it in the future? Probably will. They probably will. We know them. They like money, right? They're a business. Of course they like money. They'll probably sell this in the future. Who knows? For all we know, this could end up being a regiment tank in the future. It could be sold in a store. It could be given away for free XP, silver in like a triple threat sale. We don't know what the future of the T22 Prototype is. All we know that is going to be seen on the battlefield quite a bit because a lot of people actually own the Tier 1, and if you own the Tier 1, you've got it for free. And we're going to go over it so you know what it's like, and also go over the vehicle too, so that you know what you're going to be fighting against when you see it about it Tier 6 in the battlefield. Because what's it like as a tank? Well, it's a pretty damn solid Tier 6 medium tank. It's a lot of fun. It's very mobile. It's got okay camo. It's got a very fast firing gun. Absolutely no armor. Pretty good view range. It's just a pretty solid Tier 6 medium tank, to be honest, that's that support vehicle. If you own the T23E3 premium Tier 7 medium tank that's got preferential matchmaking, you will kind of know what this vehicle is all about, because this is basically the Tier 6 version of that tank. Near enough, right? Near enough. It's the Tier 6 version of that tank and how it plays. And if you like that tank, you will like this vehicle for sure. If you like your Shermans, you'll probably like this vehicle too. So let's get into the statistics of the T22 Prototype. So as you can see, it's got a 56 km/h top speed, 20 km/h reverse speed, 520 horsepower engine. It's 16.12 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you're a fairly mobile vehicle. You will hit the 56 km/h top speed fairly easily. And your reverse speed at 20 km/h is also absolutely fantastic. 20% internal fire chances on the high end of fire chances, and I have been set on fire a few times in this vehicle. It does like getting set on fire. 40 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed is pretty quick, and it does turn pretty quickly on its tracks, which is definitely nice for the T22 Prototype. Helps it with that feeling of being mobile. And with a 1.9 on soft, 1.1 on medium, and 1 on firm, it is very good in terms of its terrain resistances. They do not hold the tank back whatsoever. 328 meters of still concealment is not incredible, but you can get it down to a good level if you run the camouflage perks, and also if you wanted to run the camo net to get even better, you could get it down to a pretty decent level. 354 meters on the move concealment isn't the best, but again, if you run silent driving, you can get it down towards where the still concealment is, which is quite nice. 360 meters of view range is okay for a Tier 6 medium tank, but if you are talking to your American Sherman brethren, they tend to have a little bit more than you, like 370, 380, so 360 can be a bit of a hindrance at times, which is why you want to be running optics, situational awareness, all that good stuff, to get the best out of your view range. You You got 46 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is faster than the tracks, and that is quite nice for the T22 Prototype. Means it does turn its turret very quickly and gets its gun snapped on target quickly. You've got a 1.79 accuracy during rotation with a 4.37 accuracy during movement. Horrendous. Absolutely horrific. That's what those two stats are together. Accuracy during rotation and movement being that high on both is terrible, and it means your aim circle will become massive if you do not help the gun, which means you have to run the gun stabilizer, you have to run all 3 gun perks, because otherwise your aim circle will be huge and you will struggle to hit things if you're on the move. You'll have to be stationary, and even being stationary, you've got 0.39 accuracy at 100 meters, which isn't the best in the universe, and means this gun can be derpy, which can be a bit of a frustration, but it's fairly typical of 76mm, to be honest. But yeah, 3.9 accuracy is not great either, so you really want to be helping the gun on this vehicle as much as you humanly can do. You've got a 2.1 second aim time as well, which means that it does aim in pretty quickly though, which can be okay. 10 degrees of gun pressure means you're extremely flexible on a ridgeline, and once again, that's where the T22 Prototype kind of wants to be. It wants to be on that ridgeline, firing away consistently, and then being able to pull back behind the ridgeline where it can get safe and not take too many hits, because like I say, the Armour is kind of made of spit and Kleenex. You got 3.8 second reload, which is 1800 DPM, which is so-so for a tier 6 medium tank. It's alright. And you've got 128 pen on the standard AP, with 177 pen on the premium APCR, 38mm of pen on the HE, which for a tier 6 medium tank is not terrible, but it's also not great. 128 will really start to struggle, especially against tier 7s, and even against some of the heavily armoured tier 6s that you go against. It will struggle with those as well. 177 pen will go through most of the targets you'll face at tier 6 and 7, but will start to struggle a lot against tier 8s, and that can be a bit of a frustration indeed. You got 792 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, with 990 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR. Both are below average in terms of shell velocity, only just on the premium APCR, but both are below average, and it means you have to give a lot of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. And especially with the 0.39 accuracy, that 792 meters a second shell velocity is just, it makes this gun feel really derpy. And there are a lot of shots that will be missed with this vehicle because the gun just goes, ha, no, I'm going to miss. And you sit there going, but why, gun? Why? You know, it's one of those guns that can be really frustrating, especially for how fast you fire. You will end up missing a lot of shots, and you will feel that just because you're constantly firing the gun, and the general gun handling isn't that great. And you've got a 130% silver earn rate as well, which isn't that high in terms of the silver earn rates. It will make a bit more silver than your standard tier 6s, but generally don't rely on this thing to make that much silver, especially since you will be firing quite a bit of premium in especially tier 7 and 8 games. Let's have a look at the modules now for the T22 Prototypes. As you can see, that's where the engine bay is, and that's why it gets set on fire a lot, because it's a big, big engine block, and if you get shot anywhere from the midsection to the back end, you're likely to get lit on fire. That's where the ammo rack is. It's a big old target, the ammo rack on this vehicle. If you're going to have your lid popped off, yeah, it's because they're going to shoot you below where the turret is, and you can see that whole section of ammo. And that's where the crew sits in the T22 Prototype. In terms of the armour, like I say, spit and Kleenex. Enough to not quite take a hit from derp guns in the front. 76 on the upper plate. The lower plate's 63, so yeah, for most derp guns, unless you're talking, say, KV2s, they're not going to pen you with HE, which is lovely. Your side armour, however, is 50mm, which means, again, you're probably a 50-50 roll for a lot of the derp guns at tier 5 and 6, if they hit you in the side and avoid the spaced armour for hitting you for like 400. So be careful of that. But if you get hit in the side by anything like a KV2 or that kind of derp gun, yeah, you're just going to disappear. You can be one shot quite easily, and especially if they hit you in the side of the turret as well, which is only 63mm of thickness. But do be careful, because as well, the derp gun heat rounds will go through you quite reliably. So yeah, like I say, you're made of spit and Kleenex. You're not really going to bounce anything, even if you haul down. You occasionally could get a ricochet off that turret, but yeah, it's not going to be a good time generally. So let's get the commander now for the T22 Prototype, and I have stuck it into the Jumbo Sherman. It's ball leader, rapid reload, 6th sense, situational awareness, steady aim, run and gun, snapshot with the camouflage expertise and the silent driving. The camouflage expertise and the silent driving to get the best out of the camo I can get without having to run the camo net, and to get that that camouflage while on the move down as low as possible so I can try and sneak into position if I want to. All 3 gun perks, because like I say, the gun is not very good, so you really want to help out the gun if you can, because yeah, otherwise it will miss shots and you'll get frustrated with it. I'm not quite sure why the Soviet sniper of Russia is in my American tank, but okay, maybe switch sides, who knows. I don't know. Anyway, the equipment. I run the food, naturally, because that makes everything about the tank better. The advanced loader to get the best out of the DPM. The gun stabilizer, because the gun is atrocious. You really need to be helping the accuracy during movement and rotation out as much as possible with that gun stabilizer. And the optics, because again, this tank is actually pretty blind. So if you're not helping out the view range, you can't really spot for yourself very well. And that's the one thing that this tank would be quite nice, or it would suit this tank a lot better to be able to spot for itself by getting to those positions using the gun mobility. And if you're not running optics, you're not really going to spot much, to be fair. But yeah, you want the best out of the DPM, the best out of the extra during movement and rotation with the gun stabilizer and the optics to get that view range up to the 461 meters, which is decent enough. So let's have a look at the statistics now it is fully kitted out. So as you can see, top speed's the same, we're not really helped that out. The ground resistances have got a little bit better. 315 meters of still concealment, with 325 meters of on the move concealment, which again isn't the greatest in the universe, but it's decent enough that you can get away with it at times. But it's just don't rely on the camera to be that much better. 461 meters of view range, again, isn't the best view range in the universe. You will struggle to spot, especially the really stealthy vehicles, and they won't struggle to spot you that much because your camo isn't as good. 49.96 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is way quicker than the tracks, and that is lovely for the T22 Prototype. 0.88 accuracy during rotation is so much better. It's so much better than the 1.7 odd it was beforehand, so that means that when you turn the turret and stuff, the aim circle doesn't bloom out quite as badly. It still will bloom out a fair bit because it's still not great, 0.88, but it's good enough. And a 2.49 accuracy during during movement is a hell of a lot better than it was as well. Again, still not great. It means the aim circle still blooms out quite a bit, but it's a lot better than it was once again. And a 1.93 second aim time is a lot nicer than the 2.1 it was as well, meaning you do get the gun aimed in pretty quickly on this vehicle. And the 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters is pretty accurate as well, considering it was 0.39 before that. You've got a 2.77 second reload, which is nearly 2.5k DPM, which is alright for a tier 6 medium tank. It's not, again, not the best, not the worst. It's good enough. But on the whole, let's say the T22 Prototype is a pretty enjoyable tier 6 medium tank. Is it the best thing since sliced bread? No. But is it the worst thing in the world? No. You can have a lot of fun with it. If you like your tier 6 medium tanks, once again, you'll probably like the T22 Prototype. But like I say, and I want to get this over, again, you can't acquire this vehicle at the minute. Only those that owned it from tier 1 will have this tank in their garage. And if you didn't realise that you got this tank for free at tier 6 because you owned the original T22 Prototype, well, go check tier 6, you'll probably have it. But if you were going to play tier 1 when tier 1 and 2 came back and went, where's my T22 Proto gone? Have they removed that? Oh, they must have just removed it. No, it's become a tier 6 premium tank, so you now have it for free as a tier 6 premium tank. But who knows where it'll come back in the future. Again, we don't know, do we? It could be a triple threat sale. They could just sell it for normal gold. It could be the next regiment store tank. We don't know. Who knows what the future of the T22 Prototype is. But that's what the vehicle is like as you're going to be seeing it on the battlefield a fair bit at tier 6 as people go take it out. And if you were looking at this tier 6 going, what is that tier 6? I've never seen that before. Here it is, the T22 Prototype. So what I'm going to do now is send you into the replays where you can watch this tank in action, see how it handles, and see if it's a bit of you or not. So as always, everybody, I'll see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the T22 Prototype, and this first game we're top tier on Himmelsdorf, which is not the best map for a lightly armoured vehicle that's got a very fast rate of fire, because this kind of map is better for the tanks that have a lot of armour or have that punchy alpha, which means they can play peekaboo a little bit easier than this vehicle can, because this vehicle, to do that significant amount of damage, has to overexpose itself quite a bit, which means that you're prone to taking hits, and this tank doesn't take hits very well because, like I say, it's made of spitting Kleenex. So on Himmelsdorf, what I want to do is try and get to this little road down here along the 3 line, so I can shoot down it and try and shoot anyone that I actually end up spotting as they cross, like Mr. Leopard here, and also the reach at the end. But that reach has gone into a position that's going to be a bit awkward, because I'm not going to pen that guy very easily, and, well, he won't struggle to pen me, and he'll hit me very hard. So I decided, okay, I'm going to be a bit more aggressive. I'm going to move up onto the train tracks. We've managed to catch out this Stug 3G as well, so we just keep the shots flying into the Stug and finish him off. Securing our first kill of this game with 719 damage. We end up taking a hit from the hill. We somehow managed to get the shot into that piggy as well. I'll take it! I'll take it. We'll take it. When RNG giveth, it giveth. We'll take that shot into the arty there. But I've got to hide behind this building because I've got to be careful now, because I can be shot from the hill, which is what happened. It's where we took a hit from. But there is a Churchill 1 currently in the middle of Himmelsdorf, so we're just going to take advantage of that and get a shot in. But as soon as we get a shot in, we're going to pull back to safety behind this building so that nothing on the hill can actually shoot me. And then I can also wait for myself to get unspotted and then be able to shoot the guys that are on the hill, because our team is currently starting to progress into a position where they should be able to see them. So I take a blind fire, and it works. I took a blind fire at the closest point to that castle, which is where people usually sit, and I'm pretty sure that's probably where I got shot from. So I decided to take that blind fire, and we actually hit it, which is it's always satisfying when it works. Our shell velocity, though, with that 792 meters a second shell velocity, is letting us down a little bit here with where we're trying to lead the shots at these guys as they attack our friends on the hill. As we missed quite a few shots on the Cromwell. We did hit a couple on the Snakebite, though, who is running away from the majority of our team. But with those two guys now running off the hill, I decided, okay, let's go push where we can get some shots into the artillery. But as I do that, there's a reach. He is still here. I thought, oh, I didn't even check, and that was my bad. I should have checked before I made this push as to see where this reach had gone, because I thought he'd left or he died. So I was like, it's time. Just time to push, try and see if we can get a shot into the artillery, maybe get after the heavy tank in the middle. But with the reach shutting down the Jagdpanzer IV, that tank has a very, very long reload. So we're going to switch to APCR to guarantee the pen, go in on him, and try and get the damage. But we end up bouncing the first shot, and as we get round and get the drive wheel, the reach, yeah, the reach shot our friend, killed our friend, and then went, I've had enough. That's it. I'm done. Dusted. I'm out. And so we got all the free farm on that. So we'll take it. We managed to get the shot in to get the bacon. So thank you, very much, Mr. Piggy, for showing your bottom round that corner. And then we actually managed to ricochet off a heavy tank number 6, which is why I really came to this position. It was to try and cut off the heavy tank number 6. But we just got fortunate in the fact that we could also shoot the artillery. And Mr. Heavy Tank number 6 is just not bothered about us. But he's driving into the middle of the map. That one misses. He gets a shot into us, but we should secure the finish. But unfortunately for us, yet again, the 12T ends up finishing off the heavy tank number 6, leaving just one tank left on the enemy team. It is the Snakebite that we were shooting at earlier on the hill, but now he is around the train tracks. So we're just trying to use the mobility of the vehicle to try and get there to get the extra damage, but the KV-85 finishes him off. And we finished the game with a pretty decent total there for the T22 Prototype. We finished with 3 kills, 1889 damage, 185 assistance, the second class Confederate, the Pascucci's Medal, for 1262 base XP. Which is a fairly average game there for the T22 Prototype on Himmelsdorf. And it was a nice matchup, but the map wasn't the best for it, but we made the most of it. So now we're on to the second replay, and this second replay we're here on Steps, and on Steps we're in a terrible matchup. We're in a tier 8 game, which is the worst that you will see in this vehicle, and it's the wonky spawns. So I don't really want to go down the JK line in the wonky spawns, because they get to the corner at G8 pretty fast, and they cut off the 890 line if they push aggressively really easily, and it's just an easy way for you to actually end up getting farmed. So I like to come this way instead from our spawn, for which we can get into a nice little brawl. We can cut off their push down the BCD line, and a decent amount of our team will push this way, which means if they send a couple, we can use them as a distraction and then support them getting the damage out. Because naturally, especially in a tier 8 lobby in the bottom tier, you don't want to be the focus of people's attention because you'll die very quickly. You want to be that support vehicle where you're using the armor of your higher tiers, and then you'll be able to use your 2.5k DPM to good effect to keep the damage flowing. So the Chimera has been spotted. He seems to be fairly alone. So what I want to do is try and hug these rocks on the left-hand side, load the premium, because the 128 pen is not going to go through a Chimera, whereas 177 might do. So we load that, he's fired, which means I can guarantee that I'm going to get a shot in before he will. We get one shot through his lower plate, and now there's a KV-4 coming over. The Chimera is still looking our way, so nope, don't want to take a hit from that 127mm gun. Absolutely not. So we back off. But now he's turned around to actually go after my team that have come round behind him. So I'm going to use my mobility to get around behind him and just keep the shots flowing to his side. We do have to be careful because there is something shooting from the right-hand side. And in fact, we do get lucky because we bounce it. But it's because it's a 12T. It's the little French Tier 6 light tank, which means that we did get fortunate to bounce that guy. And actually quite fortunate because there's an ISU 152K next to him as well, which... yeah, that would have hurt. And if he'd rolled high enough, he could have killed us. So, yeah, we were quite fortunate to not get hit by that guy. But we did get rid of the Chimera. So, we load the APCR round. We're going to go after the KV-4 that's around here. But we take a hit from RT naturally, just as we're going round, and it sets us on fire. Like I say, this tank does like getting set on fire. You've got to be careful of that. We get the shot into the side of the KV-4's turret, the Lerva finishes him off, so we've got a bit of damage off so far, and most of it was actually into Tier 8 vehicles so far, which is pretty good. So there's still 11 tanks left on the enemy team, but we've won this little engagement on the flank. We want to try and now see if we can get shots into the 12T and into this ISU 152K. Fairly poor shot there into that 12T as we didn't give it enough lead, but we did manage to get an extra shot into him, which we will take. And now we're just going to try and shoot the ISU 152K through the little gaps in the train cars. But you're seeing the accuracy on this gun at times is not the best, and even when it's the slimmer shots, you just struggle to hit them. But the 12T is backing out into the open, so we're just going to take advantage of that and try and get some extra damage on this dude. We end up tracking him in place, put the final shot in, and shut him down. The ISU 152K gives us his side underneath the train car, so we managed to get one shot into his side, and the others hit the train next to him, which means we don't get any extra damage to that ISU 152K. And it's just been that little bit awkward trying to get those shots in because of the accuracy of the gun. Now, they were slim shots, naturally, so you're not expecting to hit slim shots like that all the time, but because the accuracy on this gun isn't the best base, and .32 is still fairly accurate, but it still leaves room for it to be that bit derpy, and especially with the shell velocity at 792 on the standard AP rounds, being poor and leading to shells looping a little bit when you're trying to hit those slimmer pixel shots, that's where you really feel the inaccuracy of the gun. So we were trying to get there to get extra shots into the ISU 152K, but the 53 TP ends up getting into shutting him down, which leaves just two tanks left, the medium tank that's currently at G0 and the artillery that is at C7. So again, mobility of the vehicle is pretty nice. You can see that 16.12 horsepower to ton ratio doing as well, as we're generally flying around the 50 to 55 km/h mark, depending on the incline we're on. And we're just trying to race our team, but with the 2801 chasing after the S51 and now the IKV going in, we unfortunately don't get any more damage on that guy, but we'll take the amount of damage we got in a Tier 8 lobby. And we finished the game with 3 kills, 1969 damage, giggity, the first class with that 1489 base XP. A pretty nice game there for the T22 Prototype on steps in that Tier 8 game, which is the worst matchmaking that you can possibly see in this vehicle. So now we're on to the third replay, and this replay is on Prokhorovka, which is a pretty nice map for something like the T22 Prototype, because you have the nice gun depression at 10 degrees to be able to go use the ridge lines effectively and try and spot out in that way. This is where not having that really good view range like some of the Shermans, where you've only got the 461 meters of view range, as opposed to, say, the Easy 8 with its 473 meters of view range, you struggle to spot things that are really stealthy, and especially at distance it can be a bit of a pain on a map like Prokhorovka. And because we don't have the best camera in the universe with 315 meters of still concealment, it means we get spotted quite a bit too. Now naturally it's still better than quite a few tanks having that sort of concealment, like Mr. Churchill 1 over there, but it still means that most of the time we are going to get spotted, and especially when we start trying to farm up something like the Churchill 1, yeah, it's where we're going to struggle. So we managed to spot the KV-2 as well, and an Absolution that managed to come all the way over the ridgeline. And he didn't manage to take any hits there. He managed to put one shot in, which damaged our Armour rack, didn't take a hit himself, and he got himself back safe. But thankfully, we did also manage to get the shot snapped into him. We get 2 shots into the Panzer III-4, so we're just trying to take advantage of every time someone gets spotted, we're working them over with this gun. But we do have to be careful, because we don't want to stay exposed on the ridgeline for too long, because if we poke over for too long in the T22 Prototype, we're going to start bleeding hit points, because we have to expose ourselves for quite a bit to be able to do the damage and rack up damage. But at the same time, if we stay on the ridgeline for too long, we're going to take hits and lose hit points very quickly, because we don't have any armor. It's very easy for them to be able to go through us. So right now, I want to go into the bowl. I want to go into the bowl so that I can make it easier for myself to spot down the 1-2 line, and especially with my team pushing up to EF1, I really want to be in the bowl to try and shoot things that get spotted by them and also spot for them too. The T67 gets spotted at the back, and now we were unspotted. That's when we've decided to make the move to get into this bowl area so that we can get in safely without taking a hit, because naturally, if we'd gone in while we were still spotted, we'd have told everyone, hey, this is what I'm doing. And they'd have all been looking our way, and they'd have shut us down. We had to wait to get unspotted before we decided to make that play. So Mr. Type 58's out in the open. We managed to make sure that we're going to get rid of the Type 58, because it's always great, again, to get rid of guns out of the game. We're up to 928 damage with 938 assistance, and we are seeing shots fly out from that back corner at K23, where the bushes are. So I'm fully expecting some stealthy tank destroyers to be back there. So once again, while I'm shooting this Absolution, I'm not spending anywhere near as much time as I'd like on this ridgeline trying to get shots in. Because with where the Absolution is, I could quite easily, with my 177mm of pen on the APCR, just keep firing shots through his turret. But I didn't want to just stick around and keep doing that, because as you've just seen, we went too far up on the ridge and we took a hit. I was thinking about going straight into that dip in front of us to try and find the TDs, but that hit that we took there and the fact that another tank shot at us from back there too made me go, okay, absolutely not. I'm not doing that as well. We're just going to die. So the Panzer IV-H gets spotted down at the back. We end up bouncing off the Panzer IV-H there, which is really unfortunate. We're missing with the next shot. Please, gun. There we go. We finally hit him. And we switch back to AP, because now that the 88 has pushed up quite aggressively, fully expecting tanks to get spotted back there, we don't really need the APCR for what might be back there. But the shots are looping with this AP shell, and so we're missing all of the shots on this A43, which is really unfortunate. But now he's tracked out in the open, and I'm pretty sure it's the 88 that's keeping him perma-tracked. We're just going to keep the shots flying into the side of his turret, and we're up to 1491 damage with 981 assistance damage. The Panzer IV-H from earlier gets spotted again, gets tracked, so we actually led the shot there, but he got tracked. We managed to get an extra shot into him, hope to finish him off, and there we go. We're seeing shell traces from the train tracks, so I decided, okay, you know, I'm going to try and plop a blind shot here, see if we can actually hit anything blind, because again, it's always super satisfying when you get those blind shots. So we know there's tank destroyers. We know there is tank destroyers back there. I had a look at the team listings, and I'm imagining there's a Jagdpanzer IV at least back there, as I saw some APCR shells, and they were firing quite quickly. That tank fires really fast. So I'm hoping to be able to poke this ridgeline and spot whatever is camping up on that train track, and we'll get ourselves a load of assistance when we do, because we have a lot of people behind us. We end up finding the A43 Black Prince, but sadly he gets himself back before we get any shots into him. We get spotted and detected there, which means there's something else near this A43 Black Prince that we just aren't seeing, which is currently keeping us lit up. But with the A43 Black Prince getting tracked in the open, we've loaded the premium, because that's the only way we're going to be able to pen this guy reliably, aiming for that back end where the weaker armor is, and we're just keeping the shots flying in. Jagdpanzer IV gets spotted though, so we're just going to make the most of the Jagdpanzer IV getting spotted, and especially with him having an engine broken there, he was easier to pen for us than the A43 Black Prince, and we managed to finish off the Jagdpanzer IV and pick up the kill with the snap onto the T67 as well, which we'll take. We're up to 2.2k damage with 1948 assistance damage, the 4 kills, and there's still 4 tanks left on the enemy team. I'm imagining that there's at least a tank or 2 up on the hill, and then there's the A43 Black Prince that we want to go kill as well on our right. Now, we use the mobility to try and get ourselves up to this ridgeline next to the bridge as quickly as possible, so whatever's on the hill can't shoot us. We've got the APCR loaded so we can go through this A43 Black Prince. So we poke over the ridge, slowly but surely, use the gun depression, aim up for the upper plate, and we bounce, because of course we do. We managed to pen him with the second shot, though, low roll, and then the third shot finishes him off. We actually got lucky there and bounced the shot from the A43 Black Prince as well. That's like, don't rely on the armor on this vehicle. It doesn't bounce things that often. But, you know how angles go. They do occasionally bounce shots for you. So we take a hit from the Hellcat that we've just spotted up on the hill there. He takes a load of hits, though, which gives us a little bit of assistance damage. That means there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is Mr. T67, who is up on top of the hill as well, because we saw the shell tracers that were flying from just over the top of the hill. But we're not going to get there first, as this 3002... D, is it, that's here, or 3001D, whichever one it is, the tier 6 anyway, is just ahead of us, and I think he spots him in the 88, finishes him off. And we'll finish the game with the victory, the 5 kills, the 2.3k damage, the 2k assist, the first class, the high caliber, with that 1981 base XP. A really, really nice game there for the T22 Prototype. Again, showing you what it can do when it's on that kind of ridgeline. You can really farm hard with it if you want to be able to do that. But we're on to the fourth and final replay of this video. Probably one of the... No, this is the second best game I've had in the tank. The best game you're not ever going to see because, well, guess who forgot to press record? It's got 2 opposable thumbs and it's this guy. Yeah, I forgot to press record. I had another game on Prokhorovka where we managed to do 4k damage and 3k spotting, and that was an ace for 2.5k base XP. But I forgot to hit record, like a moron. I got to the end of the game and went, aha, are we recording? Oh, no. Oh. Oops. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful. You know, one of those moments where you go, come on. You're an idiot. You know, one of those, but hey-ho. So we're on to the fourth and final replay here on mines, and we've done the thing that you want to do, which is take the hill. Taking the hill on mines equals victory. We're cutting off this 12T. We get a shot into him, free aim, auto aim onto the back of him, get another shot in, and the 12T's out of here. And we've managed to get rid of the tier 6 auto-loading light tank off of the hill, just like that. And now we are kings of this hill. And with the 82 getting spotted at the back, we are loading the premium so we can go through his little cupola, because the 128 pen on the standard AP is not going to be enough. And even with the premium, we're still bouncing off of that cupola, which is really unfortunate. But they're starting to try and pressure the hill and the people that are defending it, so we have to go stop these guys from trying to pressure those people and take the hill themselves, because it's not going to go well if they do that, because we've taken the hill, we've done the hard work, we need to now keep the hill. So we're just keeping the shots flowing into the T34. Now we've got shots towards the Porlak tank, which we're just going to... This is where this tank flourishes, right? This rate of fire is so nice, and it's very much like the T23 E3, much like the Shermans, really, with the same 76mm gun, where when you get into this sort of position where you can just keep firing, it is truly delightful. It's just that the shell velocity and the general accuracy of the gun at times can be a bit of a pain as you sit there missing shots going, why did that miss? Come on, gun. Why would you miss that, you know? So the MX ELC Biss is currently hiding himself behind the dead wreck. Perfect for him as well. We bounce a couple of shots on the VK, which is really awkward. The Calliope is looking for shots at us, but I don't want to take any hits from his rockets or his main gun. So we're just going to poke over now. He's fired all his rockets, and again, we just keep him firing as much as possible. We get the shot in to shut down the ELC Biss. We're now trying to snap some shots into the Calliope, but the VK3001P ends up driving out. With him getting now put down to a one-shot, we really want to finish that guy off. I do have to be careful because the VK3001P can shut me down in one shot. I can take a hit from the Calliope, but not really from one of his rockets. So we are trying to be as careful as humanly possible. But now being closed in by a load of my teammates, he's not going to stand a chance for too much longer of being alive because he's going to be shot from all sides. But we do notice the heavy tank that is currently attacking our light tank behind us, and you can see me go, hang on a minute, there's a T50 being attacked by the VK3001H. I'm going to help, little light tank, I'm going to help. So we get in to help our teammate here, who isn't really struggling with the VK, he's just going around him. But if we can get rid of this tank together, we can conserve some of his hit points, and we secure the 4th kill of the game, up to 2,091 damage. And with only 4 tanks left on the enemy team, there's a medium tank down at G6. And so we're going to see if we can get any shots into behind of him. But also from taking the hill again, we can get shots at where those shots are flying out from, at the guys at the back at K45. And we can do that by firing through the bush cover as well. And we might not get spotted by doing it. Also by poking through the bushes here, we could also spot them at the back too, which could be quite handy. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to poke out through the bushes. We find the Nashorn, put 1 shot in, put him down to a 1-shot, and secure the kill for our 5th kill of this game. The medium tank that was down below is also gone, meaning there's only 2 tanks left on the enemy team, the KV-2 and the tank destroyer that are in that corner, which is it's the 82 from earlier. So we're just looking for shots at them. We can just see the back end of these guys. So we're just aiming, waiting for them to make a mistake to drive out, but the T50 ends up getting shut down by the KV-2. So I'm going to angle up into a better position for where I might get easier shots at them if they do back up into my line of fire. And it's what I'm really hoping for, especially with the heavy tank pushing in from in front of them. But we're just not finding the shot. They're not quite coming out far enough. And we missed the shot into the KV-2 as he ends up finishing off our Porlac. And I'm looking at the situation going, yeah, this is not great. Our 2 heavy tanks aren't the healthiest. I've put the KV-2 down to a possible 1-shot for one of them. But with the 82 being fairly healthy as well, it's not a good position. They could die quite easily and then leave me alone, and I am a 1-shot splash for the KV-2, and with the deadbolt end up getting shut down by the KV-2 as well. Yeah, we need to get down and get better angle of shots, because the longer we wait, the more likely they are to just end up finishing off this British Bulldog. So I want to try and get to a position where I can farm them if they decide to be aggressive against this British Bulldog. I'm going to load the APCR because I'm fully expecting to have to shoot the front of an AT2. And once again, as I've said, 128 pen isn't going to go through that. We find the shots into the cupola of the AT2. And the KV2, I think, poked out and tried to fire a shot at the British Bulldog, but missed, which is why he is actually pulling back. And with the British Bulldog coming in from the front, we're going to try and get round behind the KV-2 and end up finishing him off if we can. Hopefully pick up the 7th kill of this game. But the British Bulldog might also pick up the kill on him as well. But naturally he's being hesitant because he doesn't want to take a hit from the KV-2. So we get behind him, aim up the shot, put the shot straight through the back of the turret. And we finished the game with a really nice total there for the T22 Prototype. We finished the game with the victory, the 7 kills, 2.8k damage, the 223 assistance damage, the Ace Tanker Devastator Top Gun, the High Caliber, with the 1926 base XP. A really great game there for the T22 Prototype, which is a tank that if you owned it when it was still a tier 1 and you still had it in your garage at this update, you got it for free. And who knows when it will be back on sale, in which way, shape or form. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!